Hello, this is Team 8, and we were tasked to improve the process for the sorting area for incoming donations at Project Cure. The sorting process includes receiving donated items that are dumped out onto a table where volunteers will pick up these items and place them into the correct bin. Once these bins fill up, they will be placed somewhere in the distribution center. Now, once other volunteers are ready, they will receive these bins and then sort through them for a final time so they are ready to go out back and distributed across the world. The types of waste included in this process are transportation waste, as many of the items are moved throughout different areas of the distribution center. Inventory waste, as many of the bins fill up very quickly and will wait somewhere in the center to be final sorted. Motion waste, as many of the volunteers will go through the items and see which ones they want to place in the bins. There is waiting, as the volunteers like to ask questions to the team leads. However, there is usually a line to ask the question. And also over-processing, as each individual item is usually sorted through 2 or 3 times. To begin improving the process, we wanted to have a cabinet for commonly used items for the volunteers to have and be easily accessible. Before, the volunteers did have a space for this, but it was very disorganized and unclear as to where things went after they were done using them. So we designated areas for different items such as gloves, hand sanitizer, box cutters, and inside the cabinet, other miscellaneous items such as binder clips, pens, markers, other box cutters, trash bags, and instructions. After this, we wanted to have a designated to be sorted area so that truck drivers can just dump these items off in a place where volunteers can easily access them. We did this by having red floor tape and marked off an area where they can be placed. For the Presort area, we also wanted to make sure that if any of the items such as the table or the bins were misplaced, that they could be easily moved back with necessary floor tape that designates the area. Now, we also created signage for everything in the Presort area. This includes signage for the recycle bin, the cabinet, the trash can, and even the plastic bags, which have a small description of how large the plastic bag that is placed in the box. And on the tables, we also added a short piece of paper that has everything that is on the bins that is to be placed in them. This is so that the volunteers don't have to walk back and forth to see the descriptions, but instead can just look at the table and see where their item needs to be. Next, we also wanted to have a walkway through the tables, as before they were closed together. But now with this walkway, the volunteers can easily move through the tables, creating a faster time to put the items in the bins. We also created these 2 bins for expired fluids and in-date fluids. Now, once the fluids go inside the bin for the expired ones, they can be dragged over to the dumping area where they can be safely disposed of. We also created a bin for the sharps so that they can be disposed of as well. Now, on the other side, it is exactly mirrored, except with in-date fluids instead of expired fluids. These fluids will be sorted through in the final sort area, just as everything else that goes into the bins off to the left. Now, for the pre-sort area, we wanted to have 2 tables for different items. This first table for smaller items and the other table for larger items to be put directly in the bins. Now, for the small pre-sort area, we wanted to have this barrier to dump all the items in where they can be sorted through and put into product families in these small containers and then bagged so that they can be transported over to the big bins and then placed in there. Lastly, we wanted every filled up bin with donated items to have an area where they can be easily accessible for the volunteers who needed to final sort these items. Now, this would be right in front of the door and where they work, and it would be also an area that is very close to the pre-sort area so that we can decrease the amount of transportation waste and they can get back to sorting other items. For the process improvement, we were able to decrease the total time from 2,090 seconds down to 737. For percent value added, we were able to increase it from 8% up to 16%. And finally, for the walking distance, we were able to decrease the steps from 173 steps per volunteer down to 147 steps per volunteer.